in the Middle East. Hi, everyone. Mike Pace here. Thanks again for joining us. It is a new hour here on Live Now from Fox, just past 4 p.m. Eastern. We are 1 p.m. out on the West Coast as we continue to update you on the big story of the day as the Middle East tensions continue to grow. This is the latest from Qatar earlier today with Iran taking a strike or trying to at least at to the one U.S. airbase out in Qatar. So we want to continue to bring you the very latest here on Live Now from Fox. Again, bring you these updates here in real time. And we also want to get some analysis as well, talking to experts in related fields about what is next here in the Middle East. And that is why I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down for us this hour. Please welcome Ed Husain, a senior fellow with the Council on Foreign Relations. Thanks so much for being here with us, Ed. And first off, if I could just get your reaction to what we saw earlier today in Qatar.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. I appreciate it. I think Qatar is an illustration of the fact that there is a large American base in Al Udeid, and the Iranians feel the need to strike back for face-saving reasons, that they want to be seen to be in a position of having responded to the American-led attack on their nuclear enrichment facilities. So this is two things. One, a face-saving measure for the Iranians, and two, an attempt to say to America and its allies, even in the Gulf region, that the Iranians will not sit back, the Iranian government will not sit back and watch this.
And when we think about the next moves here, I mean, is Iran then hoping, okay, we tried to make a statement here, we hope now that President Trump and the U.S. Do not respond back? Or, I mean, is this something, because it would seem if you didn't have President Trump there, maybe this would all end. But having President Trump now as the president once again, it seems like it could ramp up even more. I mean, what's your feelings?
My honest assessment is that, and this is based on President Trump's previous comments, that when Qasem Soleimani was killed during President Trump's first era in office, the Iranians called the White House and said, we will conduct an operation near an American naval base. Please don't respond, and please ensure that no one is on the move. We just need to do something to show to our people that, look, we can attack an American base. And lo and behold, President Trump understood the messaging, the thinking, the instinct, the theater behind it, and nobody was killed. Similarly, here in Qatar, Al Udeid Air Base is almost a city in its own right. Nobody was killed. I suspect the Americans, especially the White House, were informed of this movement. And if there is no further escalation, this may well be the end of the matter for now. But my fear isn't so much what President Trump will or will not do. I think he's wise enough, considerate enough to understand that this was a requisite move, and America, by all measures, has done what it wanted to do, again, with no loss of American lives, destroying the American nuclear program. My concern is this: is there an internal attempt inside Iran to remove the supreme leader? Does the supreme leader die for other reasons? Are there intelligence operations led by the Israelis and others that we don't know about inside Iran? Does something happen inside Iran that causes a scenario that forces escalation? But this recent attempt on its own, I don't foresee resulting in any greater escalation.
And Ed, what was your thoughts when we heard, before this weekend, it was the White House position that they did not seek a regime change in Iran, but that all changed by a Truth Social post by President Trump just yesterday. What did you make of that?
I think, Mike, that it was right for President Trump and the American administration in general not to seek regime change in Iran. Given the mistakes of regime change and the disastrous consequences in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and in other parts of the Middle East, I don't think President Trump, or for that matter, the MAGA movement, is about regime change in foreign countries. It's up to those individuals and their countries to decide their future. I also think it's dangerous for Iran to have a regime change that's imposed by either America or Israel, for the simple reason that the Iranian composition is Persian, is Arabic, is Baluchi, is Azeri, and you open up an ethnic tinderbox, and it's not in American interest, or I'd argue even in Israeli interests, to want to get involved in a country that is so complicated, so ancient, and so on the border of so many of our allies and so many military and naval bases, that it makes very little sense. It's in our interests and in the Israeli interests to minimize chaos in Iran and to ensure that the Iranian mullahs, the fanatical Islamists, don't have a nuclear weapon. We've ensured that. So I think from our perspective, from a Western and an Israeli perspective, mission accomplished. Let's just scale back. Let them have a few pops at a few military bases. As long as there's no damage done to American lives and American interests, we should be wiser, as per American President Trump's conduct so far. He's been very clever, very shrewd, very sharp, no leaks. The execution has been much smoother than the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan, for example. So let's continue in that spirit.
And do you think, I mean, it just seems like even starting when you look at it from last year's perspective with Iran to now, it seems like they've been exposed even greater, not only for themselves, but internationally as well. Is there any way that they could still come to the table and try to work something out? Or is it just right now, I mean, they're just trying to save face the best that they can?
I think, Mike, the answer is in your question. The key phrase here is save face. Iran is an ancient civilization. Its people have a very strong shame and humiliation culture. They've just been brought to their knees by a nation nearby of only 8 million Jewish people. They are a nation in excess of 19 million people, i.e. the Iranians. And you've had a superpower from across, two oceans has come in and destroyed their most advanced nuclear and uranium enrichment program. This huge humiliation. And the mullahs, despite all of this claptrap about death to America, death to Israel, have not been able to defend their borders. They don't have control over their own skies. I mean, it's a humiliating position to be in. So you just want to respect, you don't kick a man or a woman when they're down, as they say. You want to respect the weaknesses that they have and keep them weak. We don't want to see an Iran that's supported to the point of removing sanctions and therefore re-strengthening, reviving Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, anti-American, anti-Israeli forces in the region. And I think that's what our focus should be, on how do you ensure that the Iranian government in its current form does not regroup and revitalize its assets against American interests and American allies. And I think it's also worth bearing in mind that we don't want to bring our Arab friends and allies, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, in any greater danger. I think lots of people are uncomfortable tonight in that part of the world. We should be able to reassure our allies and our friends that being a comrade of America means that they're safer and not in any way put in any greater danger. And we've done that so far. I think that's the way we ought to continue.
Yeah, all solid points there. And lastly, here before I let you go, what was your take from some of the U.S. media's response and kind of their talking points from what happened over the weekend with the U.S. Striking Iran? I mean, it seemed like in some modes there were trying to take the, well, was it a big strike? Was it not a strike? Was it successful? There was a kind of a lot of back and forth, and I only bring this up because of what President Trump put on Truth Social earlier today, talking and really laminating the media for some of their negative ways on reporting of what happened on Saturday. So I just want to get your take on that and what you thought about that.
This is a great question, Mike, and it speaks to a much deeper problem here in America, that rather than support the American president at a time of a military operation, at a time of war, elements of the media want to poke fun at the American operation and want to be seen to be minimizing American successes, and want to believe the narrative of the enemy, in this case, the Iranian government, and its claims that sufficient damage has not been done. You know, it tells us something about